billionaire with relationships with 4,000 women, and the end. Kosuke Nozaki, a famous billionaire obsessed with romance from youth to old age, willing to burn 3 billion yen to be with 4,000 women, not hesitating to spend to marry a wife young enough to be his daughter or granddaughter. These are the characteristics when Japanese people mention the successful businessman Kosuke. Then the unexpected happened when at 77, just 3 months after marrying a young wife, this billionaire suddenly died in a state of nakedness. The news was a huge shock, leaving the Japanese public stunned. In the end, what really happened to this wealthy man? At 10 p.m. on May 24, 2018, a call came to the Japanese police reporting the sudden death of Japanese billionaire Kosuke Nozaki, 77, at his private two-story mansion. Authorities immediately dispatched personnel to the scene to secure the area and begin necessary investigative steps. Upon arrival, officers quickly conducted a preliminary examination of the victim's body. It is estimated that he had passed away about 2 to 3 hours before the police received the report. The autopsy revealed a strange finding. A fatal stimulant was found in his system, and the cause of death was acute circulatory failure. The even stranger thing, Nozaki did not typically use such drugs, and no stimulants were found anywhere in his office, home, or car. Police suspected this could be an intentional murder due to numerous suspicious details. Police began gathering testimonies from his young wife and male caretaker, both of whom were considered suspects. The caretaker, Takira, previously ran a small bar, but after going bankrupt, moved to work for Nozaki for over 30 years. Nozaki's wife, Saki Sudo, was much young enough to look like his daughter. At 22, she was 55 years younger than her husband. Sudo has a stunning physique. She started as a model and was once a fairly well-known adult film actress. She came from a modest background. Sudo appeared innocent on the surface, but led a reckless lifestyle. She was alcoholic, lazy, money-hungry, and frequently visited nightclubs. The police listened to the two individuals as they presented their alibis. Sudo's alibi on May 24th is as follows. That evening, he and I lay in bed watching a sumo match together. About 6 hours after the sumo match ended, the caretaker called me saying that dinner was ready. I went downstairs for dinner. At that moment, Nozaki, my husband, told me to go ahead without him. He said he wasn't hungry and would eat later. He didn't want to eat and planned to stay in bed to watch another sumo match. After dinner, I stayed downstairs until 10 p.m., then went upstairs to sleep, where I found my husband on the sofa, head back, unconscious. According to the statements of both parties, it appears that Nozaki died while his wife, Sudo, was on the first floor. Police speculate that while Nozaki was alone on the second floor, he may have taken the stimulants to commit suicide. After extensive examination, police found no needle marks on his body, suggesting oral ingestion of stimulants. However, the police considered the theory of Nozaki's suicide unreasonable, as his assets amounted to hundreds of billions of yen. And just days earlier, his beloved pet dog had passed away. Nozaki called a friend asking him to attend the dog's funeral, which occurred on May 6th. A friend of Nozaki said, although Nozaki was saddened by the death of his beloved dog, there was no reason for him to end his life. With his vast fortune and young, beautiful wife, suicide just doesn't make sense. The dog's sudden passing 18 days before Nozaki's death raised more suspicion, as he had often spoken of leaving his wealth to the dog. Upon learning of Nozaki's devotion to the dog, police exhumed and autopsied it, suspecting it may have been injected with stimulants. He valued his dog more than anyone else in the family. According to acquaintances, Nozaki cherished the dog more than his wife and would frequently call home to check on its well-being. However, contrary to police expectations, nothing suspicious was found. Upon examining all 8 external security cameras, police found no suspicious entries, leaving only Sudo and the caretaker in the house. The police then shifted their focus to understanding who might stand to gain the most from Nozaki's death. All suspicions gradually narrowed in on a primary suspect, whose potential motives were under close examination. After gathering testimony and preliminary investigation, the prime murder suspect is Nozaki's young wife, Sudo, for multiple reasons. Initially, she appeared visibly shaken and panicked while giving her statement. However, she soon provided the police with consistent alibis, showing little to no signs of sadness or grief over her husband's death. Secondly, at Nozaki's funeral, Sudo's demeanor was remarkably detached and unemotional. While family, friends, and colleagues mourned his passing, she appeared indifferent to the gravity of the moment. Observers even noted that, instead of participating in or showing any sense of loss, she casually played a game on her phone throughout much of the ceremony. This unexpected behavior raised further questions about her feelings toward her late husband and left an unsettling impression on those present. Thirdly, following her husband's death, Sudo requested an appraisal from an art company for a painting owned by Mr. Nozaki. This unexpected request raised suspicions, as it suggested she might have been planning to sell the artwork, possibly aiming to liquidate assets soon after his passing. Fourthly, what is particularly noteworthy is that, within just a few weeks following her husband's passing, Sudo took it upon herself to assume the role of president of the Campagna, decision that might raise some eyebrows and spark a fair amount of curiosity. Beyond this significant shift in leadership, she proceeded with another notable action, transferring a substantial amount of $300,000 USD from the company's funds directly into her personal account. This act not only caught attention, but could also raise questions regarding her motives and intentions behind such a move. Sudo argued that there was no reason for her to be suspected in this case. In fact, she claimed she was at a disadvantage after Nozaki's death, as there was an agreement behind their marriage stipulating that he had to deposit 1 million yen into her account each month. Sudo Saki asserted that her husband's death caused her losses on both fronts, emotionally and financially. Sudo Saki asserted that her husband's death caused her losses on both fronts, emotionally and financially. Shortly thereafter, police uncovered a suspicious detail in Nozaki's will, stating that he intended to leave his entire fortune to his wife. This discovery only strengthened the case against Sudo, making her the prime suspect. Under police interrogation, Sudo scoffed and replied, "Do you really think I went so far as to forge the will?" Everyone knew that the young wife stood to gain the most from the billionaire's death. Yet the police had no solid evidence to charge Sudo's sake. Additionally, Sudo's side consistently denied any involvement in her husband's case, maintaining silence in the face of accusations from the police. Public opinion was in an uproar, with all criticism directed squarely at the police. People argued that the police were incompetent, pointing out that everyone could see Sudo was the culprit. From then on, the story of Nozaki Kosuke's life became a widespread topic of discussion. Nozaki was born in Tanabe, Wakayama Prefecture in 1941. He was the third son in a family of 7 siblings. Due to his family's extreme financial difficulties, he only completed middle school. After middle school, Nozaki entered the workforce, taking odd jobs to save money. He worked for a company that collected iron powder and scrap metal to resell to dealers. With no money and no looks, not a single woman paid him any attention, as he felt unattractive and envied wealthy men who socialized with beautiful women. One day, he noticed an unattractive man surrounded by beautiful women. This man casually pulled out several 10,000 yen bills and tucked them into the women's hands. From that moment, Nozaki realized that he was living in a society where money had the power to control everything. From that point on, he was determined to become wealthy. Nozaki began making money by collecting excess iron powder and scrap metal from his workplace and selling it to junk shops. In the evenings, he worked delivering beer to nightlife spots. His life took a pivotal turn one night when he spotted a discarded condom lying in a drain. This sight led him to think, everyone knows condoms are available at pharmacies, yet most people are too embarrassed to buy them there. So, he decided to start a business selling condoms. At that time, a box of 12 condoms was worth nearly 1/10 of an average office worker's monthly salary. Nozaki quickly began to earn a substantial income from selling condoms. To further legitimize his sales, he took a job at a liquor store, which allowed him to sell condoms more formally. Nozaki amassed wealth by investing in stocks and later real estate in Tokyo, achieving massive success. Apart from real estate, he expanded into finance, liquor trade, and private lending, rising to prominence in Japan from humble beginnings. Nozaki earned an extraordinary amount of money, so much so that in his memoir, he later reflected that the biggest gamble of his life was entering the Tokyo real estate market. Apart from real estate, he expanded into finance, liquor trade, and private lending, rising to prominence in Japan from humble beginnings. To fulfill his passion for indulgence, Nozaki had to endure many insults during his youth. Now Nozaki has become a person who can buy any beautiful woman. He then told a reporter covering his success story that he had been with around 4,000 beautiful women, spending 3 billion yen on them. And he proudly stated that there is nothing that cannot be bought with money. His memoir, titled The Man Who Bought 4,000 Beautiful Women with 3 billion yen, was published in December 2016. Another book, published in April 2007, was titled I Want to Sleep with Beautiful Women Until I Die. In February 2016, Nozaki was robbed of 6 million yen in cash and valuable metals worth 54 million yen by a 27-year-old model. The incident was reported by the press, and Nozaki responded, "It's not much money. I'll consider it a life lesson." Even after losing a large amount of money, he saw it as a valuable life experience, and the story became a hot topic. After numerous fleeting romances and transactional affairs, Nozaki surprisingly married a 22-year-old model, Sudo, on February 8, 2008. According to both, one day Nozaki fell at the airport, and Sudo helped him up, sparking a romantic connection. He thanked her and said he wanted to invite her to dinner. The two became close and eventually fell in love. Nozaki once said, "I fell in love with you when I saw your innocence, so different from any other girl I had known." A few months before his death, on a business channel, this business mogul confidently stated he would always be happy being married to Sudo. A few months before his death, on a business channel, this business mogul confidently stated he would always be happy being married to Sudo. It seemed that Nozaki's sharp eye was only used in business, as in matters of love, he easily let down his guard with his partner. If Sudo indeed killed her husband, what other motives would she have besides money? But after a period of happiness, someone revealed the truth about Sudo to Nozaki. That person showed him pictures of Sudo before plastic surgery, revealing she wasn't a model but an adult film actress. Nozaki was furious when he learned she had deliberately caused him to fall, only to pretend to help him at the airport. Unable to bear the sense of betrayal, after seeing her pre-surgery photos and pictures of her with another man, he decided to divorce her. Nozaki called her to confirm the truth and informed her of the divorce. "Look at this woman. You too thought you could deceive me, right? Now I know you and your lover planned all this. I'm preparing the divorce papers right now."
Honey, who would deceive you? I only love you. Age can't separate us, nor can anyone tear apart our bond.
Thank you. It's over. According to Japanese media, Nozaki seemed to grow tired of his wife and was considering divorce before his death. Since their marriage, Sudo only stayed in Tokyo and refused to move to Tanabe to live with her husband. During this time, the 80-year-old businessman was reported to have been involved with several women outside of his marriage. Before he passed, Nozaki was romantically involved with a beautiful woman who had competed in the Miss World Japan contest. She was 25 years old, 1.73 meters tall, stunning, slender, and more outstanding than Sudo. Thus, if Sudo doesn't return to Tanabe, Nozaki intended to remarry, ending her luxurious life. Nozaki's determination to divorce Sudo put her luxury life at risk, possibly motivating her to kill him for his vast wealth. Police speculate Sudo feared being left with nothing if divorced, so she plotted to kill him for inheritance money. However, Sudo's lawyer insists she is innocent of all the accusations presented by the prosecutor. He stated that there was no evidence that she had directly done it, and for a time, it seemed the case would be forgotten by the public. After 2 years of deadlock, the case of the tycoon Nozaki's sudden death in a state of nudity attracted significant attention from the Japanese public, with new details revealed. Specifically, in 2020, when a drug dealer was arrested, police discovered the identities of people who bought from him and found Sudo's phone number among them. This means that she contacted the drug dealer, potentially bought drugs, and poisoned Nozaki. Upon re-examining the crime scene, police found traces of drugs on the floor and in a vacuum cleaner at Nozaki's residence. At the beginning of 2021, police found content in Sudo's computer search history related to how drugs work and how to use them. Even keywords like murder and how to buy drugs appeared, proving she had carefully planned to kill her husband. On April 28, 2021, Sudo was immediately arrested on suspicion of killing Nozaki. On May 19, 2021, the Wakayama District Prosecutor's Office indicted Saki Sudo for murder and for violating the drug laws. According to police sources quoted by Manichi, she decided to remain silent and await trial for an appeal. The case of Sudo killing her husband continues to stir up public opinion in Japan due to the boundless greed of this former adult actress, ultimately facing her downfall. However, after her husband's death, Sudo did not live in luxury as she had imagined. In reality, Sudo was always short on money and even struggled to pay rent, frequently moving due to financial difficulties. According to Japanese media, the former adult actress ended up in such miserable circumstances because she did not inherit the vast wealth from her late husband, a former employee of Nozaki. Kosuke's company confirmed to the media that the billionaire had made a will in 2013, deciding to donate all his assets to the Tanabe city government. Nozaki Kosuke's lawyer calculated that, after deducting debts to banks and securities, the Japanese tycoon's total assets amounted to approximately 1.32 billion yen, or a little over 8 million USD. However, some sources suggested Nozaki hadn't made a will, meaning his wife could still claim part of the inheritance. Under Japanese civil law, if Nozaki hadn't made a will, his wife could receive 3/4 of the estate. Therefore, the Tanabe city government had to negotiate with Sudo Sake to divide Nozaki's estate. However, her arrest for allegedly killing her husband disqualified her from claiming the inheritance. Not only did she fail to inherit any money, but she also faces a severe sentence for murder. The story of the once flamboyant billionaire's ultimate downfall has become a topic of endless public discussion. Living a life of luxury only to meet a tragic end from his own hedonistic choices.